Dr. Bill Cassidy, United States Senator Dr. Bill Cassidy. Hey, Dr. Bill, welcome back to KEEL. How you been?
Hey, thank you for having me back. I am doing fantastic.
You know, later today, President Trump is going to sign a bill that you have. It's a topic. It is something that you have been at the heart of, a mover and shaker, if you will, from the very beginning. You tell us about it and why it means not only so much to you, but so much to, well, let's be honest, so much to the country.
It's called Support for Patients and Communities Act. It is an attempt to address the opioid crisis. And one thing I've learned, speaking across the state to patients, to law enforcement, to the district attorneys, this is an issue affecting every one of our communities. Everybody listening knows somebody or knows of somebody who's either died or been suddenly called, suddenly confesses to being an addict. Confesses, I say that as in they need help. And so this is the attempt to do it. It's 70 different bills put up by both Republicans and Democrats to try and find a solution. We think it's a good bill.
It expands access to substance abuse treatment in Medicaid. Does it come with the money attached?
Absolutely. Now, it's going to take state and local leadership, but there's going to be billions of dollars in this bill going to states and local communities. But as I said, there's got to be local leadership. If there is not, this will be like rainwater falling on the sidewalk. But on the other hand, if the community wishes to take leadership, they're going to have the opportunity.
Dr. Bill, this is a hill that you've been screaming from the top of for a long time. Do you think that does this do enough? Is it a first step? Explain a little bit how you feel about the contents of this bill and what it hopes to achieve.
Yeah, so some things are going to take a little bit of time to implement. For example, right now, there's a lot of fentanyl just being mailed in through the U.S. Postal Service from China. That's crazy. The Postal Service needs more tools and needs deadlines by which to implement those tools to stop the drugs from flowing in from China. So that's going to be something that's going to be a little bit of a work in progress, but we got to start. We also extend the number of days that someone who's on Medicaid can be in treatment. Right now, it's 2 weeks. Well, that's really not long enough for somebody who's addicted to both get off and begin their rehab, and so we extend that to a month. That's also positive. We put in things for law enforcement, that they can better coordinate with databases in other states to find out if there's a patient who's doctor shopping or a doctor who is pill rolling, if you will, overprescribing. I always use the example, by the way, of Shreveport. You're in that Arklatex area. If there was somebody who wanted to just get drugs to sell them, that person could go to 3 different states, could go in the VA, could go out the VA, you name it, all these different systems. And unless you have a coordination between the VA and these 3 states, you would not catch that person. So we're trying to put in systems whereby that can happen. Again, that will take time to implement, but once it does, it'll make a difference.
Is the money pipeline going to be through the state, then to the local, or could local governments apply directly to the feds for some of this money if they have a program in mind?
This is not our first bill, but there's several bills, and if you take those together, there are some that go directly to community providers, some that will go through the state to community providers, and some it's just a question of allowing a physician or a physician extender, nurse practitioner, if you will, to prescribe some of the medicine that will help keep somebody off, if you will, wean them off of fentanyl. And so some of it is just going through the healthcare system. So different ways of applying the money.
Dr. Bill, from the very beginning, you have also been a backer of medicinal marijuana. I know in the Senate race that you were at the vanguard of that and have continued to be. Do you see the use of medicinal marijuana as pain treatment as a really positive step in an alternative treatment to opioids, Vicodin, OxyContin, et cetera?
There's different data on that, and of course there's advocates, so you have to be careful whether or not the advocates are just trying to get you to buy a line as opposed to establishing proof. There is a few articles suggesting that medical marijuana can get some people with chronic pain off of opioids. If I see more evidence along those lines, I will accept that. But I would like to see a little bit more evidence. What we don't want to do is substitute one problem for another. There are some problems with marijuana. If you take an adolescent brain, which is still forming, and they start hitting pot heavily, they never learn how to cope with stress. And, the old kind of pothead, hey, man, how's it going? Technically, that's called the amotivational syndrome. They got no motivation to do nothing. Kind of like my daughter cleaning up her room. No motivation whatsoever.
Senator, the president's going to sign the bill today. You're going to be in the room? You're going to get a pen?
Yeah, we'll be in the room. I hope I get a pen. And it's going to be a great event.
All right, if you want to give the pen to anybody, keep me in mind, all right?
I will.
She figures she can trade it for LSU tickets. Let's talk for a second.
The people that are motivated, the caravan, those folks are marching our way.
Dr. Bill, many have. I call this an invasion. How about you?
Yeah, it really is an assault upon our a country's got to be able to control its borders. And just because 5,000 people show up who wish to gain entry doesn't mean you let all 5,000 in. And the important thing is that these folks are often coached by attorneys. They know exactly what to say in order to enter our refugee cycle. And once they are in, it's hard to get folks out. So I'm all for taking care of people who are truly refugees from violent countries. But you can't just have 5,000 people show up at your doorstep and do nothing.
You are far more in the know than are we. Who's footing the bill for all this? It's certainly organized. The timing is certainly no accident. It's definitely not a grassroots march. Who do you think is behind this? Who's footing the bill?
You hear different rumors, but there's a lot of money being spent for a lot of food, a lot of water. You suspect that they have ways to support people who, need transportation. They have young children with them. People toss around George Soros. He's always a favorite villain. I don't know if that's true or not, but clearly there is some money behind this which is supporting it.
They're saying that there are now buses because they were not going to make it to the border in time for Election Day, so that buses have actually been brought in to move them faster. Do you buy that? Do you think this is completely politically motivated?
I don't have the proof, but the fact they're trying to get to Election Day, by Election Day, supports the idea that Democrats want to do well in the midterms. They're relying upon the Latino vote. As it turns out, many Latinos are voting for Trump because the economy is so great that Latino employment is at a record high. So I think the rationale was, well, let's tick off a bunch of Latinos. Sure, they're doing great, more money in their pockets than ever, job growth occurring, wages growing. Let's get them angry over something, and this is the way to hopefully provoke anger. I don't know if it's true, but it's certainly plausible.
Senator Bill Cassidy, thank you for your time this morning.
Hey, thank you.